Ever find yourself, like, just casually scrolling through Zillow, and you're looking at these listings, you're just like, man, this place is great and all, but
Into the bunker.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't a deluxe fallout shelter really complete this whole aesthetic?
It's funny you say that because that's kind of what we're diving into today.
Yeah, everybody jokes about needing a bunker these days, right?
Right?
But we actually took a look at some recent articles, some real estate experts were talking to the Daily Mail, and it got us thinking.
Yeah, it's about, like, where are the quote-unquote safest places in the U.S.
If things went really, really south,
Yeah, like worst case scenarios.
full-on apocalypse.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the things they're saying make a property valuable in this kind of situation. Well, let's just say Zillow needs some serious filter updates.
For sure, like proximity to a Starbucks.
Yeah, not so much a priority anymore.
Not so much anymore, no.
So with all this talk about Russia and North Korea, I think a lot of people are actually kind of thinking about this stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So are you ready to find out if your neighborhood makes the cut for, like post-apocalyptic paradise?
It really flips the whole script on what we think of as, a valuable property.
Totally, yeah. Like suddenly that trendy downtown loft doesn't seem so appealing, does it?
No, not when you're bartering for, like, potatoes and stuff.
Right. So it's not about being close to all the cool restaurants and bars anymore.
Yeah.
What are these experts saying actually matters in this context?
I think it all boils down to, like, how self-sufficient can you be?
Oh,
So things like arable land, can you grow your own food?
makes sense.
Reliable water sources.
So like not just relying on like the city water supply.
Exactly, like rivers, lakes, a well even,
Yeah.
and like, how defensible is your location?
So like, is it easy to get to?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it kind of tucked away a little bit more,
More secluded, more protectable.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
It's like a real life survival of the fittest checklist.
Seriously. Forget walkability. I want to know how far to the nearest, like, edible plant.
You got it.
So are we talking like back to nature?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what these experts are saying?
Basically, it's like say goodbye to those densely populated areas,
Yeah.
Hello to wide open spaces.
Okay, speaking of wide open spaces,
Yeah.
where did the experts say were the actual safest spots?
Well, a few key areas kept popping up.
Okay.
Places like rural parts of California, Florida, and Texas.
Okay, so kind of far away from like major cities.
Exactly. Far from major cities, potential targets,
Right.
Think farmland, not beachfront condos.
Yeah, so trading in Silicon Valley for a potato farm. This whole thing really flips our priorities on its head, doesn't it?
I know, it's wild.
So besides those areas, were there any other places the experts mentioned?
Yeah, they also highlighted the Midwest and the Southeast.
Okay, so like good old heartland America.
Exactly. They've got those freshwater sources, tons of farmland, all that good stuff.
Right.
And then, of course, you can't forget about the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, yeah. The mountains.
That elevation helps disperse nuclear fallout, which is a pretty big deal in this scenario.
Yeah, fallout. Now, for those of us who haven't, like, brushed up on our Cold War history, what exactly is fallout and why is elevation so important?
Okay, so fallout is basically radioactive dust.
Right.
And it gets thrown up into the atmosphere after a nuclear explosion.
Okay.
And then the wind carries it, and it settles over vast areas.
Oh, wow.
So basically, higher elevations, they tend to have less fallout just because they're, like, literally above a lot of that settling dust.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was looking through the expert opinions, and I noticed something interesting.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
They specifically mentioned Nebraska as having a good location.
Nebraska?
Yeah, Nebraska.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking, why Nebraska? It's not exactly known for, anything really, is it?
Okay, but think about it for a second. Right?
Okay.
Nebraska, it's centrally located, it's far from any coastlines, and it's got a pretty low population density.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
It's less likely to be a primary target, and it offers more space and resources, per person.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So maybe Nebraska's, like, anonymity is its strength.
Right.
In this scenario, at least.
I guess so, yeah. So I got to ask, me, I'm a city person at heart. I love the hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
Is there really no hope for urban areas in this kind of situation?
I wouldn't say there's no hope, but cities definitely face some serious challenges.
Like what?
Well, they're densely populated, which makes it really hard to, like, distribute resources effectively.
Right.
And they're often near, major infrastructure, things like power plants.
Which would be targets.
Yeah, exactly, which would be targets.
Right.
And then they also rely really heavily on these complex systems, for basic things like food and water,
Yeah.
which could be disrupted super easily.
So basically, it's not enough to just, find the right spot on the map.
No, not at all.
You also need to know how to, actually survive.
Exactly. You got to be prepared to thrive there.
So what kind of skills are we talking about here? What becomes essential?
Well, it goes back to that self-sufficiency thing we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
Gardening, farming, knowing how to do basic repairs, first aid.
Right. Practical stuff.
Totally. Even things like, water purification, food preservation.
Yeah, things our grandparents might have known how to do.
Exactly. Those skills are suddenly super valuable.
It's true. It makes you think about all the things we take for granted, right? Like suddenly knowing how to grow your own food is the hottest skill in town.
Oh, for sure.
So I guess in this scenario, we're really rethinking what it even means to have a home, right?
I think so, yeah. This whole thing really makes you think about how much current events shape our idea of home and what we need to do to actually feel safe and secure.
It does. Makes you want to dig out that old Fallout shelter pamphlet, right? So what do you think about all this? Let us know in the comments. What skills would you want to have in this crazy post-apocalyptic world?
I want to know.
All right, that's it for our deep dive today.
Until next time.
See ya.